you've pledged to cover and be here for the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. I hope you noticed that I did not make that same pledge when you did.
You're not going anywhere, are you?
Well, here's the thing. This is day 52. I thought it was day 92. It turns out it's day 52, Rachel, and I'm exhausted at day 52. And so
yeah.
I'm going to take next week off. And I'm telling you that now because I know you don't like it when I just drift away, and I don't. But just taking next week off. Then I can come back and go with you all the way to the 100 days. And
I know we all tell each other you have to take care of yourself, you got to pace yourself, you got to be in this for the long haul, and so I can't hold it against you, but I'm very sad.
Can you hold this against me? I'm going to get a head start by taking tomorrow off.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you might.
I can hold against
thought you might. I thought you might, Rachel.
Yeah. Okay. I'm pre-mad right now.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's not even tomorrow yet. Yep.
Yeah. That's why.
Take me. Can I go with you? Where are you going?
No,
Don't tell me where you're going.
You said 100 days. You said 100 days. You can't. 100 days. On the 101st day, Rachel, you and I, we're no. Yeah. Right. Right. Happy day 52, Rachel.
Safe travels, Lawrence.
He has absolutely broken them. Trump and the ultra MAGA uprising have completely and totally defeated these ultra leftist narcissists. And you can see it in their demeanor. You can hear it in Lawrence O'Donnell's shaking voice. And it appears that Chuck Schumer's shutdown surrender has rendered these left-wing activists disguised as journalists emotionally exhausted and morally bankrupt. We've got it all, gang. The Democrats are in total disarray. I'm actually going to show you how the legacy media tried but failed miserably to pressure the Republicans into capitulating to Schumer. I'm going to show you how Schumer never had a chance in this shutdown showdown. And we're going to see the latest humiliating meltdown that has the Democrats in total disarray. But first, gang, did you know scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? It's true. The FBI actually calls it house stealing, and it's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners. Basically, criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee, and file it with your local recorder's office. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity as collateral or even sell the property behind your back, and you won't even know it's happening until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices. So let me ask you, when was the last time you checked your home title? Well, if you're like me, the answer is never. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get. You get immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property. You get urgent alerts if there are any changes. And if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you've already been a victim and access to your personal title expert. That's a $250 value just for signing up. So go to HometitleLock.com and use my promo code Turley250. That's Turley250, or click on the link in the description below. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Turley250 to get the protection and peace of mind you deserve. It was no more than just a few short days ago, New York's very own Senator Chuck Schumer, apparently the best that leftists in New York have to offer, said this.
Mr. President,
the Democratic leader.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
Well, that's Schumer basically saying that he was not going to vote. So that was Chuck Schumer on March 12th, making absolutely clear that the Republicans did not have the 60 votes for cloture, which would then put the CER up for a clean vote on the Senate floor. And without that vote, the federal government would indeed shut down. Again, this was just days ago. Now, at the exact same time, coincidentally enough, we started getting a number of polls showing President Trump's approval numbers tanking. Quinnipiac showed Trump with an approval rating that dropped 11 points in just a few days. Interesting. According to Quinnipiac, Trump's approval rating plunged to just 42%. That's like Biden area. 53% disapproved. And that included, if you can believe it, wink, wink, that included his handling of the southern border. According to Quinnipiac, one of the most left-wing pollsters out there, according to Quinnipiac, most voters disapproved of how Trump was handling the southern border, where we've seen 95% illegal crossing drops. Nate Silver, the pollster fraud par excellence, he came out and heralded that the sky was falling for Trump. His polls were in a free fall. Now, if you're a regular to this channel, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. But if you're a regular, you'll know that poll analysis is one of our fortes. It's one of the services that I, as your Patriot professor, love to provide for you. And you also know that we feature only the best pollsters out there, objectively the best, like Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, who was awarded the honor of being the single most accurate pollster of 2024. We'll have Rich back on the channel in the next few days. Rich absolutely nailed 2024 to within a couple of tenths of a point. Mark Mitchell, of course, of Rasmussen. He was honored as one of the single most accurate pollsters of 2024, good friend of this channel. And you'll notice here that while these polls like Quinnipiac and Reuters, both of which absolutely blew the 2024 election, they both told us Kamala was going to be our next president. While they have Trump's approval rating tanking, you'll notice at the same time that Rasmussen, Quantum Insights, which is another very accurate polling outlet in 2024, and other very accurate pollsters, they actually all showed Trump's approval numbers, well, frankly, quite steady. They really haven't budged. He's still polling well in the 50s, which is very, very good in a presidential approval in a rather divided nation. It's basically been the same approval rating since he was inaugurated. His polls have been remarkably consistent. Again, this according to the most accurate pollsters. So our good friend Jack over at Red Eagles Politics said it perfectly. So the accurate polls in 2024 showed Trump above water, while the polls I use as toilet paper show him underwater. Yeah, I know who I'm going with. Jack always has a nice turn of phrase. So it appeared that we were seeing, just your typical polling nonsense coming from the same questionable outlets, the very ones that all told us that Kamala Harris would easily win in a landslide, right? The Ann Seltzer pollsters, even though we now know, by the way, that her own internal polls never, not at any point ever had her in the lead, ever. Even after, even all that Pepsi Cola kind of fanfare that surrounded her announcement of the beginning of her campaign. And this is now all widely admitted. That's the funny thing. Remember, just as an aside, internal polling is consistently more accurate than public polling. Public polling is the stuff we get from Quinnipiac or Reuters or New York Times. And that's simply because private polling is polling funded by political campaigns, and they fund it to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. So campaigns want the best polling possible so as to strategize where to best focus their time and money. They know not to rely on the public polling, so they hire their own private pollsters. So private polling tends to be very, very accurate, whereas public polling is usually just a bunch of cheap polls designed for a certain headline. Oh, and what do you know? Look at what happened right on time. We got this headline. This is from Quinnipiac, the very same polling outlet that told us Trump's numbers were tanking. Look at this headline. New poll suggests majority of Americans would blame Trump and GOP for government shutdown. This came out just 18 hours ago. So now we can all see how all of these tanking poll numbers were there in order to fabricate a headline that was designed to spook congressional Republicans. And Mark Mitchell Rasmussen called him out on it immediately. That was the whole point of these negative polls. Mark's own analysis focuses on a daily rolling average of presidential approval. He sees every day the numbers in real time, and he has found no significant movement at all for Trump's approval. If anything, his approval's ticked up a bit over the last week. Rich Barris has noticed the same thing. And they're both calling out the complete and total manipulative BS behind this polling. Rich says it bluntly. These aren't pollsters, they're propagandists. They are full-blown propagandists. We should not be able to easily predict when legacy media pollsters are going to dump propaganda polls that are way disconnected from reality, but we can because they're propagandists, not pollsters. And they're predictable propagandists at that. What we have been seeing is polls that were deliberately fabricated, surprise, surprise, to pressure Republicans to cave on the CR bill. That's what we've been seeing with these presidential approval plunges. I know you've been sending in some questions about it, going, what's going on? What's going on with these polls? They're frauds. That's what they are. They're absolute frauds. Again, make no mistake, we love poll analysis here. Poll analysis is one of the services I provide for you. If Trump is tanking, I will let you know. I will be the first. Rich Barris will be the first to let you know. Mark Mitchell will be the first to let you know, because we value honesty over ideology. What we saw from Reuters, what we saw from Quinnipiac, what we're seeing from CNN, they're all response bias polls deliberately manufactured to pressure Republicans to cave to Schumer's demands. Oh, and by the way, talk about karma. This is precisely why two major polling outlets that are horrible, that missed 2024 wildly in favor of Kamala, 538 and Monmouth, they're both getting shut down as we speak. They're both getting closed down because they're a blight. They're a public blight on the dying, decaying credibility of the mainstream media. So the mainstream media isn't giving them the time of day anymore. Ironically, they still give Quinnipiac the time of day. And perhaps that's why, despite these efforts by the propaganda press, it did not work. Within just hours of publishing these polls, we got this.
I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
Well, that was fast. That was fast. Can you say House of Cards? And it always was. I mean, we predicted that. Or to mix the metaphor, Schumer never had any cards to begin with. You got no cards. You got no cards. He didn't have any cards to begin with. He had no political leverage at all. Hence why the left-wing activists disguised as press and pollsters in the legacy media had to step in. They had to step in fabricating these fake polls like the Quinnipiac poll that showed Trump with a negative approval rating at the southern border. even though every single poll last week showed Trump with an 80% approval rating at the border. It was beyond incredulity. And even the Democrats weren't buying it. By the way, click on the link in the description below to get all these articles and tweets I reference throughout my videos emailed to you each and every day. You're going to love it. We want you to have the best resources out there to convince your family and your friends of this new MAGA super age that's rising here.